Hello friends, it's so good to be here with you today. Debbie Lichter, founder of Freedom Embodied Academy and Freedom from Food Addiction. And we are talking today about how to be authentically you and really how to even know who that is. You know, and I was thinking about today, I was just kind of remembering hey Kate, oh, good to see you. Awesome. I'm on my phone today, so it's a little bit harder for me to see people. So and to see your comments. So I hope that I'm able to see all your comments today because I really want to connect with you around this stuff. It's such big stuff. So I was just thinking, I was remembering when I came back from South Africa, when I was working for Cosmo internationally, and I came back to the States, and I just felt like I just didn't even know who I was, and I didn't really relate to any of the people who I knew from the past, you know, high school friends and things like that. I just kind of was in a different place, and I remember being set up on this date with, hey Ian, oh good to see you. And I remember being set up on this date with someone, and you know, I had just my whole life, I just haven't been into water sports, swimming, like that's just never been my thing. And he was super into it, and I remember him saying like, yeah, you know, I go water skiing or whatever, and he's like, are you into water sports at all? And I remember at the time, I remember saying, I can be. I remember saying that, and his face was like, ew. Like it was just such a turn off, because I mean, it was just, he could just tell that I was just trying so hard to be whatever I thought he needed me to be. You know, and I'm sure we all have these stories. You know, I just remember a few years later, working, you know, again, like, you know, fancy working at this health club, you know, the general manager kind of, you know, looking like I'm so together and everything like that. And I was so terrified of, you know, I was so consumed with how my body looked. Hey, Laura, so good to see you. I really want to be able to see you all. Yay. All right, here we go. Let's try to get this. There we go. Awesome. So glad you're here. And, I was so terrified of people judging my body, because here I was, this GM, and I was supposed to be, you know, looking good and all this kind of stuff, that I paid someone to airbrush tan me about every 7 days. Okay. So this person was somebody who does like tanning for, you know, people who do like fitness competitions. You ever seen that, where people literally look like black, they look brown or black or whatever. I mean, they look like a completely different shade of not authentic, right? You know, because they're trying to make their muscles look all ripped and whatever. I would have her do that on me for a solid 2 years. I was having like literally my skin painted every 7 to 10 days, because I just wanted to look as thin and as fit as possible. I mean, this is the stuff that, you know, I can look at it now and I can just giggle about it. But at the time, it's like, it meant everything to me to get the approval of others. It meant everything to me to get it right, to be enough, to not be too much. You know, and this is why I really want to talk about being authentic today, because we can kind of throw that term around so much that it sort of loses something. But I speak with so many of you that, like, this is a big deal. Like, I've given so much of myself away over the years that I don't even know who I am anymore. I don't know who I am. I gave myself away to the marriage or to the job or to the family, or, you know, I just never really figured it out in the first place. And so I've just kind of been this people pleaser sort of my whole life. Whatever it is, there's this tremendous opportunity for us to really come back to this authentic way of being, because here's what I have found. What I've found is that those of us who struggle with addictions or obsessions or self-sabotaging patterns, this is something that is really a big theme, is that we struggle with knowing, you know, really feeling like I'm okay no matter what. that feeling of ease and comfort inside, that feeling of I'm good just like I am, we typically have a real hard time with that. And because of that, we are trying to be more than, and trying to make up for what we lack, and, trying to not be too much, and trying to get it right, and trying to get others to like us, and trying to, prove ourselves, and trying to get it perfect. And all this stuff keeps us so destabilized that I really think that we turn to food or alcohol or, men or women or smoking or whatever it is to just try to come back inside of ourselves. Ironically, right? We're trying to come back to ourselves. We're trying to kind of like ground inside of ourselves. Obviously, those things kind of take us outside of ourselves. But this is why today what I really want to get into with you is what stops us from being authentic in the first place? Like, what's going on here? And what we really, really need to do, what the truest thing is that we need to do to truly get back to ourselves. And I want to leave you with 3 instant strategies that will work anytime, any place, anywhere for you to truly just reactivate your authenticity. So, and before I do, I want to give a special shout out to the ladies who have recently hopped into the Freedom Embodied Academy. Laura is one of them, and it is such an absolute honor, and I'm so, so excited to be with you this year, and to really, the Academy really is the system for getting free from the obsessions and the addictions that are holding you back so that you truly can authentically shine your light. That's really what this is all about. And so to be able to guide you on this journey back to you is just the biggest honor. And I'm so excited for that. Deborah, so good to see you here today too. So glad that you're tuning in. Okay, so let's dive in. So what stops us from being authentic in the first place? This comes down to something that I referred to as compartmentalization conflict. And compartmentalization conflict essentially is when at one age or stage, you just stopped being yourself. You stopped being fully authentic. I remember when I was about 4 years old in preschool, and I used to love everything princess. Okay, I wanted to be a princess. I wanted to wear dresses all the time. And one day, the first time, my mom let me dress myself. And so I dressed myself, I put on this dress, I felt so pretty. And I went to preschool, and I was kind of like walking around, prancing around. And I remember it was right in the morning time. I just come in, and I was kind of walking right past the place where we would sit in circle. And I was kind of just like thinking about, like how cool I was going to be. I was just kind of like, oh, I was a 4-year-old. Like, what was I thinking? But I was kind of, I remember this so distinctly. And my preschool teacher came up to me and she goes, "Oh, honey, you have your dress on backwards." And in that moment, I remember my face turned bright red. I got so embarrassed. I got like a clench in my throat. I just felt I was so, so mortified. And it was one of those moments in my life, one of the many moments in my life, where I was like, I can't get it right. I can't get it right. All the way at that age, it was like, I can't get it right. And that insecurity of whatever I think is cool, whatever I think is like something that makes me feel good, like it's not right. And I don't know what's actually right. And I need to look outside of myself for what's right. And so, hey, Pam, so what I'd love to hear is, do you relate to this kind of thing where at one age or stage, you just you decided either, I don't get it right, I'm wrong, or I don't get it right, or I'm not enough, right? I'm not enough of what I'm supposed to be. I'm supposed to be smart. I'm supposed to be pretty. I'm supposed to be funny. I'm supposed to be, outgoing, right? I'm really shy. I'm supposed to be more energized. I'm supposed to not be so deep, whatever it is. We have all of our stories. Or I'm too much, right? I'm too intense. I'll never forget the day that another camp, I'm like traumatized by camp counselors. I've had so many camp counselor stories. People who are really trying to be nice, really. But I remember, this was around 17 years old. This wasn't even when I was really a kid. But trying to, I was so insecure. I was so insecure because I went to a college preparatory school, and like the expectation is that you go to like a really high, you know, you really go to a really, really good school. And I didn't feel ready to go to school, and I wanted to go to a junior college. And like, you just didn't go to junior college at my school. You just didn't do that. And I was terrified, and I was so embarrassed. I was so mortified and so ashamed. And I was on this summer trip. And I remember this woman saying to me, trying to be nice, but she's like, "You're really intense. You're really intense." And I interpreted that to be a bad thing. And I spent the rest of my years, I remember from like the rest of my teens into my 20s, trying not to be so intense, trying to be lighter, trying to be happier, trying to be funnier, trying to be less serious, less deep. You know, and so if you relate to this kind of stuff, to this compartmentalization conflict where you just like divorced yourself from your true authentic way of being, then I just want you to put CC in the comments, just so I know that you are with me and that we're on the same page here, because this is the stuff that I see. And I feel like every single person who I talk to who has struggled with some kind of addiction or obsession has some form of this compartmentalization conflict that went on. And here's what happens with compartmentalization conflict. Here's the three things that happen with compartmentalization conflict. The first, I already mentioned, we disconnect from our authenticity, right? We disconnect from that part of ourselves. The second is that our head disconnects from our bodies. This is really, really important, because what that means is that we start to live up in our heads. And when we're living up in our heads, disconnected from our bodies, this is where we start to feel separate and isolated, like we don't belong, like we don't fit in, like everybody else is somehow getting it and we somehow aren't. Like, this is where all our fears are, where all of our doubts are, where all our insecurities are. Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, and I'm glad you're relating, and the reason why I'm glad you're relating is because if you're relating to the struggle, then you will relate to the solution. So that's actually a really good sign. So so it disconnects us from our bodies. And the third thing, I can count, the 1, 2, 3, third thing is that it disconnects us from our inner guidance, from our inner guidance system, from that ability to just deeply rely on the guidance inside of ourselves. Because, I mean, just like when I was 3 or 4 years old, it's like, well, what I thought was right was wrong. And so therefore I can't trust whatever's going on inside here. And how many thousands of times have we had that messaging? Oh no, you did this wrong. Oh no, it should have been done like this. Oh, you know, and so we slowly start to lose this confidence inside of ourselves, and then add to that the millions of times that we make these promises to ourselves. Like, you know, especially when it comes to any kind of addiction or obsession, like, okay, I'm gonna start today. Today's gonna be good. Today's gonna be different. I'm gonna do it differently. And then, you know, by the end of the day, it's like, how did I find myself in this pattern again? And so we start to lose confidence in ourselves. And so this is all the stuff that goes on, because when we have this lack of confidence in ourselves, it creates a sense of self-doubt, right? And what that does is that projects us into the outside world, where now we're looking into the outside world to define our what's right and wrong for us, to define our sense of worth, our sense of value, and oftentimes our sense of identity. It's like, okay, all right, people, what you think determines my reality. How you see me determines what I see about myself. What you think about me determines my worth. You know, how you treat me determines my value. What my bank account holds determines my worth. You know, what my dress size is determines my worth. You know, we start to live outside in. We start to live by these external influences instead of through inner guidance. So if you relate to any of this stuff, then just put EFL in the comments. EFL is the external feedback loop. That's what I refer to this thing, because it literally is this loop where we're looking to the outside world to affirm or, you know, or validate our experience of ourselves. And this is what has us trying to be perfect. So if you relate to perfectionism or trying to get things perfect, trying to prove yourself, people pleasing, it all falls into this category, right? Any kind of pretending or any kind of inauthenticity, because what happens is it's like, well, I need to first see what you need me to be before I speak, before I act. And yeah, totally, Kate. I mean, absolutely, right? Thank you for being so honest. I need to first see how I should be in a situation so that I don't offend, so that I don't, that I don't, confront and disappoint someone. And so we're constantly looking to the outside world, and all of that just completely robs us of our authenticity. So it robs us of our authenticity, and it has us completely destabilized, because we no longer can rely on what's going on inside. We're constantly looking outside of ourselves. And so that has us just like vigilant all the time. And that has us dependent on how other people see us. And that can feel really, really unsafe, because we have no control over how some people see us or view us. And so it can lead to a lot of insecurity. And this is where I find a lot of us are really struggling, because it creates that insecurity that happens, that feeling of I can't trust what's going on inside. That creates an internal sense of discomfort and dis-ease. And that discomfort and dis-ease will drive us for an external sense of ease and comfort, which we will find in getting attention or in accolades, or we'll find in food, or, like social media or sex or alcohol, or, whatever it is, to try and get this sense of being okay on the inside. This is the pattern that I see, and this is why the link between getting free from your addictions and coming back into an authentic you is so linked, is because when you can come back to your inner guidance, when you can come back to this real true feeling of ease and comfort on the inside, not only does it completely eliminate the need for you to reach for an external source of ease and comfort that you might find in food or some other kind of addiction, but it also brings you back to you, where now you're connected to your gut instinct. Now you're connected to your intuition. Now you're connected to divine inspiration, and you have the confidence and the courage to follow through with what your inner guidance is telling you, because you no longer are dependent on what other people think about you to define and affirm your sense of self. Hey, Nicole, so glad that you're here. You no longer need to rely on that stuff, and this is what creates so much freedom. Because when you go from that external feedback loop and you move into your internal guidance system, then it's really okay. Then if you're disappointed, like, I can meet you in that disappointment and I can have a conversation. I can be intimately connected with you around that. But it's not defining my sense of myself. If you don't text me back, I don't feel like I'm not important because you don't text me back. I just figure you must be busy. Right? I don't take your actions personally, because my sense of worth and value and identity is coming from deep down within me. And that is a freedom that I want every single person on this planet to experience, because this is what it's all about. This is you truly, truly being okay, just being you. This is what allows you to be comfortable in your own skin. And this is what gives you the confidence to put yourself out there and to shine your light, to help others, to speak up, to do the things that right now you might be holding back from, or playing small in, not putting yourself out there because it's like, I don't want to be judged. What if I've got nothing to say? What if I mess up? And I totally relate to all that stuff, because I totally have had that stuff happen too. But one of the things that allows me to just press go live on these videos is really like the willingness to just put myself out there, and I might mess up. And it might not go that well. And all I'm doing is really sharing myself with you. And, I want you to have that same freedom too. And so I want to share with you what it really, really takes to truly, authentically be you. Because we can it's such a kind of a popular word that we can throw out there. I want to tell you what it really, really takes. And I want to leave you with 3 instant strategies to support you in just activating that right now. So what it really takes, I mean, I've been speaking about it, but I want to just really highlight this here, because when we're talking about going from the external feedback loop into your internal guidance system, we're talking about shifting from going an outside in to an inside out, right? It's a massive, massive thing that we're talking about here. And I know most of us have heard the phrase, all the answers are within, you just need to go within. Here's what I find. I find that most of us, especially if we relate to compartmentalization conflict, most of us are blocked from our inner guidance. Most of us second guess ourselves. Most of us have a lot of self-doubt. And so we have to actually regain access to our inner guidance. It's not just like, oh, the answers are within, so I'm going to go within and good. All right, well, that's just it right there. Like, we actually need to regain access. And this is actually what I love to do. I mean, this is, Laura and Pam and those of you who are hopping into and who are in the Freedom Embodied Academy, this is the stuff that we do. Because what I find is that there are some things that are blocking us from our own inner guidance. There are some things that are weighing heavy on us, that are blocking us from our own inner guidance. There are our judgments and our stories, but definitely our fears and our shames and our blame and our grief and our remorse and our resentment and our guilt and all of these things, all these qualities that actually just completely bog us down. And they prevent us from really being able to access that inner guidance. And that's why the deeper work, if you really are truly on a path of coming back to a place that is authentically you, where you feel comfortable in your skin, where you're not people-pleasing and trying to be perfect and trying to prove yourself, you're not worrying so much about what other people think about you, and you can truly just relax into you and be present right here, right now, if that's really, really what you want, then I'm telling you that the real true path to do that is to get free from the things that are blocking you from your inner guidance so you can come back to you at that deep, deep level. And if you're like, that sounds great, Deb, I don't know how to do that, then hop on a call with me. Let me help you on that path. I mean, you can just go to, just getsupport.today. Getsupport.today will just allow you to book a complimentary session on my calendar, and let's just get in some conversation around this, because I can, within a very short time frame, I can kind of cut through some of the stuff, go straight into the heart of it, and really see some of the key pieces that are going to be critical for you in actually activating this path of freedom from whatever's blocking you, and being able to truly come to a place of authenticity inside of yourself. So that is the deeper journey that, if it calls to you to be on this path, then it would just be my absolute honor to guide you there. And I want to give you 3 instant strategies that you can implement right away to help you to really come back to your authentic self. I mean, I say back to my authentic self, back to your authentic self. I mean, I have to admit, like, I didn't really even know who that was. And so you have one of those experiences where you're like, I feel like I've lost myself. I don't really know who I am. I mean, I remember I hated the question all throughout my 20s. I hated this question. People were like, well, what are your hobbies? What do you do? What do you like to do? And I was so ashamed because I didn't have hobbies. Like, I worked and I obsessed about food and about what other people thought about me. That was about how that much was. And I didn't really have other things that I did. And so I didn't know sort of what I liked and what was me. And I was just so used to just trying to be into the things that other people were into. And so if you find yourself in that place, if you find yourself in that conversation, or if it's just been so many years that you feel like you've lost yourself, then these 3 things can help you right away to start to come back to you, right? To start to come back to you. So the first thing, and you might have heard me share about these before, because I do share about them because they are so powerful. They really are. So the first thing is to do what moves you, to do what moves you. When I say moves you, I mean there's an actual way that our bodies, right? Our bodies are our bodies are in touch with the present moment. In fact, it's, I speak with so many people like, I want to be more present. And I'm like, yeah, well then you need to get out of your head. You need to get into your body, because your body's living in the present moment always. Our heads are usually living in the past or the future or some other, dimension, but they're usually not here. And so when we do what moves us, like, that if you listen to like some music, and sometimes music, it just like, you kind of start to like, your foot starts tapping and you kind of just start moving with it. And it's like your body's responding to this music before your mind's even really thinking about it. Something in you is just sort of opened up to this. And like you're in rhythm with whatever's going on in the moment. That's an example of doing what moves you. Literally, like your body wants to get up and move as a result of it. So dancing and listening to music and things that actually have rhythm is a huge, huge important part of that. But actually, like anything that has you physically getting into action, right? So, joining a group, showing up somewhere, showing up to an event, showing up here to this Facebook Live, to a conversation, calling up somebody. So anything that involves action, doing what moves you, is such a powerful way, because that stuff, something that moves you, your body never lies. So your body is communicating to you this authentic truth all the time. It's a great way, it's a wonderful access point to really get connected with you. And sometimes what moves you is to take a freaking nap. So sometimes you need to take a nap, and that is truly the most authentic thing you can do in the moment. Another really authentic thing that we don't really think about, because oftentimes we think of authenticity as like, oh, I'm bright and I'm happy, and that's not always authentic. Sometimes the most authentic thing you can do is actually cry. It's one of the most congruent things that you can do. That's why never, ever, ever apologize for tears. Because tears, when you are sad, is the most authentic thing and the most congruent thing that you can do. So is laughing. So doing what moves you is number one. Okay, number two is to do what inspires you. So again, this is the thing that just catches you in the heart, this thing that uplifts you. This is the thing that kind of, again, it moves you into action, but it moves you into an action from this place of deep joy, this place of, oh my gosh, it's expansive, right? So there's always this expansive feeling and moving towards what's more expansive. Gosh, it inspires me. It inspires me to, to go and listen to this talk, or it inspires me to go and help this person. Think about what inspires you, because again, that's coming from a very, very deep internal place. It's coming from your heart. It's coming from your heart's desire of what inspires you. This is oftentimes where artistic expression comes out. So this is where creativity births from. This is where joy births from. This is where, gosh, I just want to get out into nature. Right? I want to go to my happy place at the beach or in the mountains or by water or, by trees or whatever it is, doing what inspires you. Such a powerful, powerful place to really just activate that authenticity within inside of you. And the third one is maybe a little bit less obvious, and yet it is so powerful if you can do this. And this is to do what scares you. To do what scares you. So this is why I call this like one of the most powerful things to bring you back to your authenticity, because when you do what scares you, you have to actually dig deep. You have to dig deep to the place of you, to the part of you that lies beyond your personality, that lies beyond your current mental construct of the paradigm that you're in. The current mental construct of the paradigm that you're in might say, don't do that, you're going to fail. Don't do that, you're going to mess up. Don't do that, people are going to judge you. Don't do that, no one cares, you're going to be rejected. There's a million things that are, our personality that's protecting our little ego, is not going to want us to do. But when you do something that scares you, it means that you've had to dig deeper to a truer part of yourself, to a core part of yourself, to your soul calling that says, I have to do this. I have to do this, And I have to pull together the courage to move through this thing, even though I'm scared. Even though there's a part of me that feels like I'm gonna die, I'm gonna choke, I'm gonna lose myself. Even in all of that, because when you move through that, what dies is the old paradigm. What dies is the old thinking. What dies is that ego mentality. What dies is the personality that was holding you back from your truest, most authentic self. And what you get to emerge into is exponentially more authentically, potently you. It's a lighter you, it's a more expanded you, it's a freer you, it's a more joyful you, it's a more confident you, it's a more courageous you, it's a more connected you. It's a you that you really actually love. And this is why doing what scares you is one of the most powerful things that you can do. It is one of the most powerful things you can do. And here's another reason why it's so powerful, because you have to rely on something other than your own ego's will. You have to rely on something bigger. You have to step into the unknown. You just have to. Because usually we're afraid to do something because we don't know what comes next. So it means you have to let go of control. You have to let go of how you think it's supposed to be. You have to let yourself be held by something bigger. And because of that, you expand into something bigger. It's the greatest thing ever. And so if you are right now in your life up against a decision, you've got that sort of like that little voice inside that's kind of knocking on your, inside that's going up, you need to do this. And then there's this like personality part of you, this, this ego part of you, or this, kind of mental construct that's living in the current paradigm part of you that's like, oh no, I don't really hear that. No, that's not practical. That's not responsible. That's not what I should do. I should really just stay within these safe borders, and here I should stay in this little zone right here. I should kind of play smaller. I shouldn't put myself out there. Should not be a tall poppy. I don't want to be ridiculed or rejected, right? If you have that internal dialogue that's going on, then what I will say is that if you truly, truly want to live free from addictions and obsessions, if you truly, truly want to be authentically you and comfortable in your own skin and really get to know who you are at the deepest level and expand into a you that you didn't even know was possible, if you want all of that, then doing what scares you is a secret that I hope that you implement right away. It'll be a game changer for you. It'll be a game changer. So if you're inspired by that, then I would love to know which of those 3 things you're going to take action on today, and you get extra bonus brownie points if you're willing to do something that scares you. And if you are, say, I'm willing to do something that scares me, and if you are willing to share with us what that is, we will all be doing backflips and celebrating you and sending you lots of little hearts and lots of little hugs, because you are someone who is so on your way. So thank you so much for taking this time and sharing with me. I hope it was valuable for you. Again, a big shout out to the ladies who've just jumped into the Freedom Embodied Academy. We still have a few spots left. If that's something that you feel like you might want to do, if you know this is your year to live free from your addictions and obsessions, to really, truly step into your fullest, most authentic you, so that you can feel comfortable in your skin, you can have the confidence to put yourself out there, you can have true, meaningful, authentic, deep relationships. You can stop hiding and holding back and actually feel like you are living your life instead of just going through the motions. If you know that this is your year for that, then please, please let me at least help you get clarity on your next steps. And if Freedom Embodied Academy is the next step for you, then we can absolutely talk about that. But either way, schedule a spot on my calendar. You can go to getsupport.today, schedule some time with me, let me support you. It would be my absolute honor to help you, and I will connect more with you very, very soon. Bye for now. Mwah.